many great sessions and speakers, and it's been just fantastic. So, all right, thanks again. I have already Emily Newton and Floyd Jones queued up here, ready to go for our nonprofit leader panel. But right before diving in, I just want to show just a slide really quick. So we just talked about peer-to-peer and how you can do that with CauseVox. And so CauseVox, you can really effortlessly run your peer-to-peer fundraising. So without all the clunk, and make it really easy for your fundraisers to sign up and fundraise well. So the last thing that you want is when you're running peer-to-peer is your fundraisers running into technical issues and having to deal with clunky technology. And our goal is to make it super simple and streamlined for them to sign up and fundraise so that you can retain those fundraisers and be really successful. So if anyone is interested, please feel free to go to our website, causevox.com, to learn more about how you can run your peer-to-peer with CauseVox. And so let me switch over this for a second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and roll right into our nonprofit leader panel. So thanks everyone for sticking with us throughout the day. This has been really fun and really cool. And I'm sure some of you need to grab a cup of coffee, feel free. We will be starting the nonprofit leader panel momentarily. And
Candace, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Thanks so much for joining, Floyd.
Great. I just wanted to test before we started.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and play. Can you guys see my screen okay? Perfect. Well, so excited to be getting started with our nonprofit leader panel as part of our digital fundraising summit. So thank you all so much for joining. During this session is all about exploring how two incredible fundraisers have grown their fundraising at their organizations and really diving into the details of how they run their campaigns so we can take away some top digital fundraising tips that you can put into practice. So for today's panel, we're honored to have Floyd from Volo City Kids Foundation and Emily from Postpartum Support International. We'll be doing a 5-minute Q&A also at the end, like the other sessions. Don't forget that if you do want to get the notes for all of these sessions, you can buy them at the link provided in the chat pane as well. So you can keep up with us throughout the day and know that you can refer back to everything later. It's $25 for notes. And so without further ado, let's get started. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Candace, and I am the Customer Success Lead here at CauseVox. And I've been working here for the last 4 years, helping nonprofits grow their online fundraising. And so I'll be your host for today's discussion. So with CauseVox, you can raise more with less effort. Unlike other software that is clunky and expensive, CauseVox helps you tidy up your fundraising. All too often, we see nonprofits wrestle with complex or outdated software that just makes their jobs harder. It makes it harder to get people to donate. It makes it harder to reconcile data. And we don't want our customers dealing with any of that. So with CauseVox, we help you run donation pages, crowdfunding, peer-to-peer, and all of that without all of the hassle that can come with fundraising. So our donation pages help you easily convert donors right on your website. They're optimized for any device and give your donors a clunk-free experience they'll really love. And with peer-to-peer fundraising, just dove into this a little bit, but it really helps you raise more with less effort because you can engage your community to fundraise on your behalf. And this can be incorporated into any campaign It's not just an event. It can be Giving Tuesday, year end, all of those things that are coming up as well this time of the year. So we see that organizations that use peer-to-peer tend to raise about twice as much. So that's been really pivotal for a lot of the organizations that we work with. And you can also run crowdfunding, of course. So really easily set up and create campaigns, have everything you need to succeed basically with the CauseVox template. And like I mentioned earlier, CauseVox automates the back office tasks like receipting and reporting. So all of that is taken care of for you, kind of just makes your life a bit easier. So you can really raise more with less effort on CauseVox and run all your fundraising on CauseVox, whether it's an annual campaign, fall fundraising, or anything else that you're looking forward to. And all of that with less frustration and complexity. So you have more time to really cultivate your donors and raise more online. With CauseVox, I've personally worked with so many of the organizations that have used our platform. We've had thousands of organizations of all sizes use CauseVox to raise millions, and we have a couple of whom are here today to really share about their experience. And with CauseVox, we know that your time is valuable, and we want to really just free up your time so that you can invest it in the things that matter. And so Rabu, our CEO, has shared about when talking about the state of fundraising that, the number one hurdle to your fundraising is clutter. And you wear a lot of hats. There's too many steps in your process, and you use frustrating fundraising tools. To cut through the barriers, you must have the tactics and tools in place to make fundraising less complex and clunky. It isn't just convenient, it's critical to your fundraising success. So without further ado, we're going to get started with our nonprofit leader panel. Floyd, who's joining us now, is an experienced development professional with a demonstrated history of working in the nonprofit organization management industry. In 2017, he was selected as a Venture for America Fellow, where he was placed at Volo City, where he currently serves as the Director of Development and Community Outreach. In under 2 years, he has successfully aided the organization in growing its annual operating budget by over $400,000 and has spearheaded key strategic partnerships for the organization, including Nike, Kind, NBA, FitJoy, Kava, and so much more. Previously, he served as the Director of Strategic Outreach for Epworth United Methodist Church, where his digital brand strategy and outreach campaign brought 500 community members to the organization and increased average weekly attendance by nearly 25%. And we have Emily Newton, who works in higher education until the birth of her first child in 2008 and personally suffered from postpartum depression and anxiety. She found it hard to find a doctor in the DC metro area to help effectively treat her. So from there, she got connected with Postpartum Support International, where she started volunteering and leading the Climb Out of Darkness event locally. In 2017, Emily's ideas to improve the program led her to be hired to run the national campaign, which she has been doing for 3 years now. She has nearly tripled the fundraising dollars generated by the program, and attendance and engagement has grown exponentially. She credits her firsthand experience with perinatal mood disorders and experience as a volunteer fundraiser for her successes in running the program. And so without further ado, let's dive into our conversation. Floyd, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit more about you and what you do and the Volo City Kids Foundation?
I was still on mute. Hello, everyone. So thank you so much for having me, Candice, and thank you so much for hosting this conference. It's amazing. So as Candice mentioned, my name is Floyd Jones. I'm the Director of Development and Community Outreach at the Volo City Kids Foundation. The mission of our organization is really to provide free sports programs for kids across America. Currently, only 38% of kids ages 6 to 12 played in an individual or team sport last year, compared to 45% 10 years prior to that. And the main reason we look at this is why, right? So we see kids aren't having as much fun. There's too much pressure on the field. It's too expensive and it's not accessible. And so every single day we ask ourselves, what would it look like if we lived in a world where every single child truly had the access to free and safe play? And that's really what we work towards. I came here somewhat serendipitously because I'm actually a musician and more passionate about the arts. I was like the kid when I was 6 years old who like played soccer and scored in the wrong goal, and I was like, okay, this is it, I'm over it. But I happened to follow across this company. I'm really passionate about social enterprise, and so when I saw the foundation, we actually have the 501c3 arm of Volo City Sports, a for-profit social sports organization with a bunch of young adults, and so they take a percentage of all the fees that the players pay and use it to fund 30% of the foundation. And so I said, this is creating a really interesting, sustainable model. I wanted to help them take it to the next level. At the time I joined, there's only one other employee who's our executive director. And together over the past 3 years, we've kind of grown it out where we have staff now across the country and we're building every single day.
Thank you so much, Floyd. And it's been so exciting working with you the last few years. And
yes, we've been there since the beginning.
Yeah, seeing you grow firsthand and kind of hopefully helping a little bit along the way has been really wonderful. So thanks so much. Okay, Emily, I would love to hear more from you and about the campaign and Postpartum Support International.
Excellent. So PSI provides Postpartum Support International, which I will henceforth call PSI because it's a real mouthful, provides peer support to new parents who are struggling or in crisis. We train providers like psychiatrists and social workers to provide evidence-based care, which was something that I could not find in the DC area. I mean, really. So, and we show families that you're not alone and you're not to blame, and with help you will be well, which is our tagline, which we sort of use to embody all the things that we do with the Climb, which is a face-to-face event. So in addition to peer-to-peer fundraising, it's an in-person event in, I think, 146 locations and counting worldwide this year. So we're all over the place. We're global.
Yeah, thank you so much for going into that. And so, yeah, I'm so excited to get us started diving into the questions. So can you tell us a little bit more about what your fundraising initiatives look like, what kind of campaigns they are, if you do peer-to-peer, and how long you've been running these campaigns as well?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, cool. All right, so our fundraising initiatives, we use CauseVox not only for our peer-to-peer fundraiser, but we also use it as our event sign up. We use it to distribute our liability waiver. We've also used CauseVox for Giving Tuesday, but that's not within the arm of what I do. Let's see, our peer-to-peer fundraising is really, it's a behemoth. It's sort of like running a breast cancer or a heart disease walk by yourself, part-time, talking to people from Zimbabwe, talking to people in Germany, talking to people all over the United States. I kind of describe it as like riding a tiger. I'm never sure that I'm gonna be eaten or that I'm winning. Like I never know what's happening, right?
Yeah, wow. So, and so with this event, I guess, how does it work? How do people sign up to participate? How does the event get run throughout the year? Because I think it's ongoing, right?
It's essentially ongoing. We have a period of time that is my off season because I try to have good boundaries. Because I can't plan 2020 while I'm still running 2019. So one of the things that we do is we essentially shut climbs down. The events don't happen after like the middle of November, which allows me the time during the fall, which is a slower season for us, to sort of start writing programmatic things and creating training for volunteers. I do that on the back end, and then we try to roll it out before the first of the year, so that then people can get in and create the team fundraising page, and then that volunteer that's running that team page can turn to everyone they know locally and say, all right, it's time, let's join, start, like, put your pages together and, you know, get ready to fundraise.
Awesome. And so, yeah, it seems like you have all the individuals who are participating in these different events across the country.
Yep.
And so typically it sounds like it's volunteer led. The events are kind of organized by the volunteers, and you oversee the fundraising for all of that.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I guess what is something that you found over the last 3 years that helped you drive success with this campaign?
I think our biggest success is the target market are absolutely the people who are always on Facebook. They are, you know, 1 in 5 women, 1 in 10 men, and 1 in 3 women of color, because this affects people of color more because of all the disparities that they deal with. I guarantee that probably everyone listening knows 5 people, 10 people who may not even be out, as it were, about the fact that they've dealt with this. Let's see, where was I going with that? I got off the train. Choo choo.
I guess so. Can you talk about a little bit more about how I think you do a lot of work to reach those fundraising goals, and so can you talk a little bit about, I guess, the results that you've seen with the campaign, and maybe a few steps that you take to, you know, get to that fundraising goal?
So I would say 3/4 of the people who volunteer to run these local events are very adept and skilled at using social media already. And they don't need me to tell them why to hashtag or why to tag the national organization. They are already aware of how to utilize all of those tools. On the other hand, we've got 1/4 of the people who may not know anything about how to utilize, you know, social networking for this purpose. Because since we don't use Facebook fundraisers just as Facebook fundraisers, we want the data that comes with running it through something like CauseVox. Those people, I hold their hand a little bit more. Like, they might not know how to use, you know, whatever poster building website like Canva or something like that. They don't know how to do that. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll do it. Like, I view my job as less of a fundraiser and more of a person who keeps the volunteers coming back.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I think that gives us such a great insight into really how you know, carry those fundraisers then, like, throughout the years, you know, and kind of putting the focus so heavily on that to help you reach those fundraising goals. So I think that's really cool. And so, Floyd, I would love to hear more about the types of campaigns that you run, how long you've been running those on CauseVox, and just like a little bit more about, you know, some of the campaigns that are currently active.
Yeah, so, you know, it's so super interesting. I definitely echo the sentiments of Emily in terms of, it feels like you're wearing a bajillion different hats and you're not sure, am I standing on solid ground? I have no idea. So I definitely echo that. For us, it's really interesting. So our fundraising is rather, I guess, diverse, and we're still a pretty small organization. So I still kind of have my hand in a lot of the different features. And like many of you, you know, we touch events, we have corporate sponsorships, we have, you know, fee-for-service work, a lot of different things, but our peer-to-peer has really been the key that's been exponentially helping us grow. And I think one thing that I would definitely say is, you know, don't build your development program around what you think is necessarily right. build your development program around the people who are supporting you in a way. So if a lot of your people are on social media, you know, make sure you're on a platform. That's why I enjoy Cosbox, because they have the social sharing functions and all that different stuff where, you know, you're tapping into your network and you're utilizing their strengths. Make it easy on them, as Emily was also saying. Make it as easy as possible. I don't want someone to come to me and I'm asking them to help me fundraise, and then now they're scratching their head and they're saying, I don't understand this thing, can you help me figure it out? So actually, one of the things that we do is we actually build a fundraising toolkit as well for all of our fundraisers. So once you sign up to join our platform, we say, hey, here's a toolkit that shows you step-by-step exactly what you need to do. And why can I do that? Because Candace is amazing and she told me step-by-step what to do when we first started. So first of all, I always say pass it on. When you learn something, pass it on to your people and help them be great. And one of the things that I first started, when I first started with the organization, we didn't really have fundraising anything. Like literally Candace helped us make our first ever campaign on Cosbox. But you know, I felt something. I was like, you know, we really got to do this. This is where everyone's at. Giving Tuesday, people are talking about it. That's when I was really new, and we ended up doing really, really well. And the reason why is because, again, we made it easy. We empowered people, and I said, people really generally want to get involved. They want to do good. And fundraising, in my opinion, we're giving people that platform to do that. And so you now have all the resources through Cosbox, through a toolkit, through your social media posts to help people do that good. So we've run, I guess at this point, maybe 9+ campaigns, probably even more. But a lot of our people are, like I said, are young adults. So a lot of them, you know, are young and active players and are in the for-profit kind of league. And so what we do is we do a combination. Maybe they're on site at an event and we're saying, okay, great. If you're going to this event, make sure you use your Cosbox to fundraise. This year we served 10,000 kids across the country. So every single time someone signs up to fundraise for us, we give them a child and we say, hey, you're helping us fundraise enough money that's gonna sponsor this child through an entire 8-week season. And you make it personal. We give them the child's first name. We tell them where the child is playing, what that child's favorite sport is. Make the program as personal as possible so that people actually have an understanding as to why they're getting involved. And it's really fun to watch them, you know, on social media and saying, hey, I'm fundraising for Charlie, or I'm fundraising for Alex this time around. Help me support this child and make pay possible. So really, again, just making it easy for them. And so I have a little bit of a process as well. I know you kind of asked a lot about that, Candace. So our process, for me, it always starts with a goal. We have at this point over 60 full-time staff, and we have, you know, almost 2,000 part-time staff. And for things like our end of year campaign, everyone gets involved. It's like an entire thing. And so I'm working with the marketing team, and I'm working with the finance team, and I'm working with all these various teams. And it's like, sometimes it feels crazy, but you start with a goal. You know, for us, it's numerical, but then it's also how many people are sharing our stuff online, how many people are opening up our emails, what's your key goal? And then I say, okay, so now that I have this goal, what are the different steps that we need to get there? So if it's, you know, $50,000, how am I getting 10,000 from this group of volunteers? How am I getting 10,000 from this group of donors, you know, and engaging those people. So creating that plan, building the necessary pieces that it takes to get there. So whether it be graphics or a toolkit, and then after I have everything figured out, then I say, who is going to help me, right? After I have it all taken care of, then I bring in the masses, then I bring in the volunteers. And I think we've changed a lot, because in the beginning, it was really just me mobilizing people. But the beauty of peer-to-peer is it's not just about my network, it's about my network and your network and my network's network and my network, you know, expanding that. And so now I empower our team members and our staff to mobilize their networks, etc. And we've been able to see it grow from there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for walking us through that. I think that really helps. And I guess the one thing that I wanted just to follow up with is, you know, what did the fundraising look like at Volo City before Cosbox? And I feel like that was very shortly before you arrived.
Yeah, exactly. It was short before I arrived. Exactly. Before I arrived, actually, we were 100% funded by the for-profit side of our company because we didn't really do any fundraising. But now the for-profit only covers about 30% of our operating expenses. So the beauty of that is now every single thing that we fundraise, we can actually devote it to our programs. We can devote it to actually getting our programs up the ground and running, because we don't have to worry about things like office space that's taken care of. And the thing that's awesome for us is that we can actually promote that, and people, rally around that cause and rally around that fact. And so it's been really just trying things and seeing if they work or not. I think a lot of times we can look at fundraising as such a daunting thing, but I always say, okay, well, what are your strengths? And for us, we had a bunch of young people who just enjoyed being out and about. So I'm like, okay, great, let's plan some fun events. And once we got the people in our events, we took their emails down. And once we got their emails down, then we actually started courting them to be bigger donors. And we're like, hey, we've noticed you've come to a lot of different events. How can you fundraise for us? And we were, a lot of people said, now we want to fundraise for you. And now when we're fundraising, I'm saying, okay, well, can you be a team leader and mobilize other people to come and fundraise for us? Can you donate your birthday? And then really from there, really kind of just spirals up from there. I think, as Emily said, I just really echoed with me too, is when you're in a position of leadership, your role now becomes, how am I creating the space for others to thrive and do what they can do best? And so that's kind of like the hat that I see myself wearing now.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, cool. And so I think that's a great lead in. So how exactly do you help your fundraisers thrive and your community thrive?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, it's a couple things. One is the toolkit. I think the toolkit's really essential. For us, what we put in there, we put in things like sample emails for people to send out. So there's always, sample. And then the thing that's great is that we can kind of not control the messaging, but we can make sure that they have the right talking points. They can obviously edit it. The thing about CauseVox is great too. You can put in sample messaging in your CauseVox as well. We also, we build out a social media toolkit as well that we link in there. So it's usually a digital toolkit. And if all they have to do is click on a little button within our thing, and it will open up social media copy for them. It'll give them, one thing that we do, we try to unify. On Giving Tuesday, we have everyone change their profile pictures to a certain things. And then that way we're having hundreds of people do something, and we center around specific hashtags and all these different things really to light that fire and get that spark going within people. And also within the toolkit, we also have a lot of our people are work at companies that give as well. So what we do, we will we'll give them different toolkits and that they can send to their employers and whatnot, and just trying our best to make it easy for them and tap in, because a lot of people don't even know what their capacity is, right? A lot of people don't even know, oh, I can ask my company, oh, I can ask so-and-so, and it's our job to identify what those things are, and again, make it easy for them to do that.
Yeah, okay, cool. And so Floyd, I'm just so curious, because it sounds like you provide so much content to help them share. Do you have an example or anything that you can share about a specific post that worked really well, or a specific social strategy that really knocked it out of the park?
Yes, I do. I will try to find that for you while I'm on this call, actually, but I can kind of share it while I can just talk through it. So
Yeah.
again, we're a youth sports organization. So on Giving Tuesday last year, we had every single person change their profile picture to a picture of them when they were a child playing sports. And then we had all of our fundraisers doing that. We had so it was really, really cool because it kind of grew like wildfire. Yeah, take that. Anybody, if you can apply it to your cause, definitely do it. But it really worked for us because everyone, all of a sudden we had hundreds of people changing their Facebook profile pictures, and then everyone was like, oh, what is this? And then also naturally I've learned people like seeing you when you were a child anyway. So not only were we getting likes, and then at the end of the day, we were getting more attention on our cause, and then people were more apt to click on and donate and all that different stuff. So anything that you could really think of that, get some viralness going, definitely do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Floyd, for sharing. And Emily, I just want to hear, more from you about, what kinds of things you do to help prepare your fundraisers to do really well. And, what does your toolkit look like and going into all of that?
We have pre-recorded online videos. So, I try to make it fun and engaging, and I have edited out every time I say the word and stall. So the video is like 7 minutes long, We use let's see, I have screen capture versions of that, because if you are in a country where there's not great internet connectivity, you need a screenshot of CosVox with an arrow that says, here is where you put whatever detail is like your personal story or whatever it is, so that people have access to that. And then the big thing that we do is I run a Facebook group that is private for all of our fundraising team leaders. So they come in and I model all the things that I want them to do in a microcosm in their local community. So if I want people to pat themselves on the back for signing up, I'll say, hey, pat yourself on the back for being here. Because let's face it, they're depressed, they're anxious. That's a big deal, right? So we'll do something like that. Then, 2 weeks from then, I'll say, okay, action items. And I'll give 2 really quick things that you can do. Change your profile picture in CosVox, update your information so that you've, told the date, time, and location of the event, things that are small. And I try to keep it like really quick, and every couple of days there might be a, hey, go you, or there's going to be a thing that needs to be done. Right?
Yeah. Okay, great. So it's kind of like constantly keeping that conversation going.
Yes.
And it sounds like not just, connecting with them, but also connecting them with each other, with the Facebook groups.
Exactly.
So they can all be their own community as well.
Exactly. So sometimes someone will come in and say, oh, I live in a city where there's a military fort. I'm having trouble being able to advertise on base. And someone else will go, oh, I'm in the military. Here's who you need to call. And if you do that, then you're good to go. And suddenly, we have access that we didn't have access because somebody else had the right knowledge,
Yeah. So it's kind of like getting everyone's ideas all together and,
yes.
and really capitalizing on, their experience, I'm sure, as people come back year after year to fundraise too.
Yep.
Very cool. So, I guess do you have any specific, ideas about something that you asked people to do that was really effective?
For us, I think it's about quantifying. So we know that it costs us about $125 to sponsor one child for 8 weeks in our program. So we say, how many children are you going to fundraise for this season? Like, how many children are you going to directly support through your campaign? So I think really quantifying it can help.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have one. One of the things that makes our program so effective is most of the money stays locally. So that's a deal that we've run because, like your organization, Floyd, we didn't do peer-to-peer fundraising until I came on. So they already had funding to make the organization run. So now peer-to-peer fundraising is hey, the money is going to stay local in city or state or country, wherever you are, and you can partner with a local organization. We have an application process. They fill out an application. We say, yep, your goals align with our goals, and you're going to keep 75% and we're going to get 25, and our 25 is going to go towards scholarships for our online trainings.
Nice. So really breaking it down and letting them have so much control over, just how the funds are being used in their community. That's
exactly, because it resonates so much more with people when you can say the funds are staying local. And there are going to be so many nonprofits that have the ability to do that because they're a local nonprofit. Where when we're a national nonprofit, we have to find those local nonprofits and say, we have a huge following, but you might also have a need. And we've got a couple of people that work with us that are also connected with you. And then we build that relationship, and then we're off and running.
Wow, amazing. And so I guess I want to know a little bit more about what that process looks like when you're first trying to recruit a peer-to-peer fundraiser, because we talked a little bit about how you support them, but how do you find people to ask, and how do you get them to just make that first step?
One of the ways is we have, obviously, because we provide certificate and certification trainings, we have a huge database of people that we can turn to and say, either you or someone else in your practice or a patient who is well, who wants to give back. This is an opportunity. And a lot of them are trying to fund their own local thing, and they're going, wait a minute, I could partner with you, and the framework is already there. So that speaks to a lot of people, but we also have a online support group. We have actually 3 or 4 online support groups, some that meet through Zoom, some that are based in Facebook or similar types of things where it's all messenger and more private. And we go in there and we just say to people, we're recruiting anyone who's well, because we don't want someone who's still in that place of I'm afraid to leave the house, or I am not sleeping because I have an infant, right? So we try to get the people who are in the position to be in this role, and then we just empower them to do as much or as little in it as they want.
Yeah. And then did you have any particular fundraisers that I guess stood out to you as far as, maybe they knocked it out of the park, or just someone that was really special?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this girl, Heidi, can you share her?
Yeah, I will. Hold on one second.
She and I have been friends for years because we met through a support group. And so she called me and she was like, I think I'm going to do this fundraiser. And I was like, yeah, you should totally do this fundraiser. She's like, I'm going to lead one. And I'm like, great. And she's like, oh, I work for this guy who owns, I don't know, 15 or 20 restaurants in the Detroit area. I'm going to make him do like one of those where you get 10%, but everybody has to bring in the certificate that says that they get the 10%. She's like, but I talked to him and I said, listen, these people, they're not going to remember to bring in the certificate. Like they can barely wipe like the spit up off of their shoulder. Like this needs to be easy. And he was like, all right. So every restaurant in one day, and that's not how much she raised, because we also have everyone who raises $100 gets a t-shirt. So she said, listen, I raised like $8,000. Can we just like spread that out over everyone on the team so the whole team gets a t-shirt? And I was like, yes, we can. Whatever you want, So yeah, I mean, she had an idea and she had the opportunity, and she made a big ask of her boss. And he said yes.
Wow. Yeah. It's exciting, right? When you see people just go for it and really connect people, others with your organization to make donations like that. So I know that we're kind of running out of time, but I have 2 quick questions I want to ask you guys. We're not going to have time for a Q&A, but both of you at this point are digital fundraising veterans. You've done this before for years. What advice would you give to those just looking to get started with digital fundraising for the first time?
I would say just do it, just start. Because I think in the beginning, my first year getting everything started, I was really stressed out, nervous. I didn't really kind of know where to start. I guess that's kind of like something that you could just do for anything in life. Just kind of just start. And as you get started, you'll figure it out as you're building it. Where we're at in year 3 is not where we were at in year 1. And I think that, growth is always the best. You know what I mean? You can grow, you can learn, and then you can pass it on. I had no idea that I would be on any type of panel when I was starting this in year 1, because I didn't know what was going on. But I've learned a lot of different techniques along the way. And now we do peer-to-peer campaigns literally like every other month. We're doing another campaign in a different city across the country. So just get started. And the biggest thing that I would find advice with is find your fundraisers. Don't do it by yourself. You know, even if you're just starting by asking 10 people, you know, 10 people in your network that you can call on and just say, hey, this is super simple. Can you just send this to 50 friends and raise, you know, give them a goal even, you know what I mean? Say, can you raise at least $100? You know what I mean? And even if they raise under that, most times they raise more than that. But just find 10 people in your network, help them by giving them a goal, giving them some resources, and then Coswalk does a lot of that work for you with the back end work to make it super simple. So just get started.
Yeah.
I agree completely. If you've never done this before, there's no metric to measure yourself against. So anything you do is better than not doing it, right? Even if the graphics are pixelated, or you know, you don't have a typographer to make sure that you're all lined up on your page, put your logo on there and put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, exactly what Floyd said, ask 10 friends.
Yeah, amazing. And so I so appreciate all of your insight that you've shared so far. I guess my last quick question here would just be, what made you choose CauseVox for your digital fundraising, and why do you continue to choose it?
Okay, long story short, too late. This is gonna I'll try to do my best. So in 2017, we used a different fundraising platform. There was a lot of advertising for that fundraising platform on the fundraising platform that was supposed to be about our nonprofit, right? In 2018, we used CauseVox, and in 2019, like right now, I got talked into using our CRM, which had a peer-to-peer fundraising aspect.
No.
Guys, so don't get me wrong. If you have access to that much data that the CRM can provide, that's a big deal, right? You have a lot of information about your donors. You can go and make repeated asks. It's great to have that. However, I donated. It took 3 separate screens, filling out 3 separate sets of forms before I got to adding credit card information. How many people are going to lose interest before that point? Like, in my life, my kid is going to come in and demand a snack, and I'm going to put my phone down and I'm never going to go back to it. And that's our audience. So it was a bad fit. We're back for 2020 and I'm really excited.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I think that's so true though, because with, you know, it's all about making it easy for the donor. Like if you don't make it easy for the donor, it's not, unfortunately, it's not going to perform as well as you'd like it to. You know, that ease of use and giving them an experience that's good is key for so much of online fundraising. And so, yeah, Floyd, I guess, what makes you choose CauseVox?
For me, it's the people. Down at the end of the day, it really, really is the people. When we first started, we did not have a budget for any type of bigger thing. I literally had to like plead with my executive director. I'm like, it's gonna work, I promise. Like, just trust me. And now we do have a bigger budget to afford a bigger or fancier thing. Like, I still want CauseVox. Like, I feel like Candace is like my friend. Like, anytime I have a problem, I'm like, Candace, help me. And like, your tech team is on it. They're super fast or whatever. Rob sometimes goes around the country and does like lunches, so I've been able to talk to him. So not only are they really great, because if the people just were good and then the platform was terrible, I would be gone, because the platform is great, but I think you guys know that the platform's amazing, but the people are even better, and I just feel like it's just like a cherry on top. So I love the CauseVox team. They're such good people. So that's what keeps me, that's honestly what keeps me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both so much for joining and for all the kind words. I mean, I talk with both of you relatively frequently, and I love chatting with you about your organizations and all the great work that you're doing. So I'm excited to, you know, continue working with you. And so I know we'll chat again soon. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of these super valuable insights. Really, all of this is so important to other organizations that are just trying to learn how to optimize their fundraising or just get started with online fundraising for the first time. So thank you so much again.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, bye.
Couldn't have asked for better panelists, so appreciate it. All right.